back to the show. Today's guest is Andrew Goodman. Andrew is an experienced surf coach who now runs surf coaching trips in Central America, the Maldives, and in Europe. He has a fantastic Instagram account, which is full of education, and Leo __, ANDLEO __. And we go into Andrew's backstory a bit at the start of the interview, so I will leave the intro there and fade in my conversation with Andrew Goodman.
I'm from South Africa, yeah. Born and raised in Cape Town.
When and why did you start surfing?
So my dad was a surfer and my mom was a beach babe. Sorry, I'm the beach bum. She was the beach babe. My uncle surfed for South Africa, pretty much just grew up in that beach kind of lifestyle from a very early age and just fell in love with the ocean. I used to play on my boogie board, that little styrofoam thing, as a kid, and it just developed to me standing on the boogie board and then convincing my mom that I needed those pointy boards that shaped up in the front because that stopped the surfers from getting splashed from the water. That was my philosophy as to why boards had rocker. And so, I eventually convinced my parents to get me a board and got myself a 7-foot single fin, locally South African shaped board from Jonathan Parman. Just fell in love, man. That was probably when I was about 5-6 years old. And then got the first board when I was 9.
Yep. Okay. And just it's been a lifelong passion since then, yeah?
Just enjoying the ocean. I mean, surfing most of the time. I mean, I spent a few years bodyboarding and then in between body surfing as well. But up until now, a lifelong passion with the ocean and just playing, whether it's longboarding, stand-up paddleboarding, surfing. It's just such a powerful place to spend your time, man. It really is.
Yeah. And where are you based now?
So I am sitting about 45 minutes north of Rome in Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right
on the coast.
Okay. What's the surf like in over that part of the world? I can't imagine it's great.
It's about as flat as you can imagine the Mediterranean to be at the moment. There's not a stitch of swell around. In wintertime, there's some pretty good waves along the coast where we live. It's few and far between. The stars have to align, and a good proper storm has to be out there, push some swell in. So it's not as consistent, but it's okay. We travel a lot, and I enjoy my last surf, and that's the memory I live in until the next good one.
Yeah, that's a nice way to do it, I think. Looks like
I don't have to force it. I don't have to get it in there because it's like, for me it's like I'm only enjoying it as much as my last surf was, if that was really good. And so I don't want to go and fight on 2 foot onshore with 60 people in the water trying to scavenge hunt a wave. For me, that should be family waves, party waves, shared waves, however you call them. When it's like that, it should just be fun out there. If it's consequential, sure, then there needs to be some sort of order, and but when it's like that, I don't believe this. People need to be all,
Well,
that attitude in the water.
It's touching on the modern surf culture. We'll get there soon. But obviously, I mean, it's so to live on the coast near a surf break nowadays is ridiculously expensive. You can live inland a little bit and spend that money on surf travel.
Yep.
And so when did you, what's the transition between sort of, being a lover of surfing and then getting into surf coaching? How did that come about?
So I left. I was living in New Jersey. I was married to an American woman for quite some years. I just left, and I like hundreds of thousands before me, decided to go make a life in California. So I jumped across the continent, and
when was that? What year was that?
That was in 2008.
Okay, yeah.
And I needed a job, man. I needed to make some money, so I went down to the beach and I saw these flyers of 2 different surf schools. And I thought, okay, well, I've surfed, a few times, and I've taught one or two people to skate, and I've taught one or two friends to surf. I thought I might be able to put myself off as a surf coach. And I phoned up the one company and I said, "Hey, you guys need a surf coach?" And they were like, "No, sorry, we got everyone for the season." And they put the phone down. And I thought to myself, okay, let me rethink my approach because that didn't work too well. And so I phoned the next one and I said, "Hi, do you guys do surf lessons?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Do you have any this afternoon?" So they said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I'm going to come and do it for you. If I fail, if I suck, I will pay whatever the person paid, so you earn double, and you can take over and say that whatever excuse to your client. But if I do well, you got to give me a job." And he was like, "Wow, you're either very confident or very arrogant." And I was like, "Well, let me do the surf lesson for you, and you can tell me." And I ran his business for about 6 months. And in one of those lessons, I taught an 86-year-old woman to surf, and she stood up, and there's a whole backstory to that. And she eventually got the wave, and she stood up and she turned around, and she had a look on her face, man, that I'll never forget. And it was like a freight train hitting me that I was part of something so much bigger than just a surf lesson, than someone just standing on a board. Because her husband had died 2 years ago, and they had been wanting to surf for like 30 years. They'd been speaking about it and they never did. And she eventually, 2 years after his passing, got the energy, decided, motivation, strength to come and do it. So when she gets to heaven, she can tell her husband what it was like to go surfing. So that's the story she tells me, this 86-year-old woman that rocks up at the beach for a surf lesson. And that look she gave me, man, it was just something. I was like, wow, I want to spread that. I want to give that to as many people as I possibly can. And so that's the short and the long version of why I went into surf coaching. I didn't know that I wanted to do that at all. I was 32 years old or something. I had no idea. I'd been working in the film industry, so it wasn't something that I'd planned.
86. That's rare. I imagine that's the oldest person that you've taught, and I can't
For
imagine
sure.
getting too many people over the age of 70 wanting to try surfing.
No, no. But when I do get people in their 60s, I say to them, no, because if you're over 86, then you can say you're too old. But up until you're 86, you're not allowed to say it because of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, no, she was a rock star, that woman, man. Wow.
Yeah. It just goes to show that, if you're motivated enough, at the ages, you can do anything.
She had it, eh? She definitely. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't shed a tear at the end of it.
Yeah.
With her when she gave me a hug, it was you could see it was something incredibly important for her. It wasn't like she was there half-hearting it. She
Mm.
was full on. She was not leaving that beach before she got it.
Yeah, and that's such an important lesson for all surfers listening. Is just like, if you're gonna surf, own it and focus on it. That's the
Yeah,
only, because it's such a hard thing to learn. That's the only way that you get any good at it, is actually just owning it and focusing on it and
yeah,
wanting it as bad as the 86-year-old. And that's
yeah,
I think there's a lot of wisdom in her attitude.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for
So
sure. I wish
how long
more
were
of
you
that.
there in California? How long?
6 months. Yeah, 7, 6, 7 months. Yeah.
And what happened after that?
Came back to South Africa and bought a bar from a friend of mine. He had like a backpackers, really cool backpackers, and he had a beautiful bar inside, and he sold it to me, and I ran it as my own business for a while, and then I went back to Cape Town, back to the film industry. Then I opened up my own surf school in 2014 in Cape St. Francis, the home of Endless Summer.
Oh yes.
Endless
Yep.
Summer 2, yeah, when they come over the dunes there.
Yep.
So the Cape St. Francis beach was where I had my surf school for about a year and a half. And then, wow, where did I go? Oh, then I went to the Maldives for a while after that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That would have
And
been
then,
special.
yeah, those 3 months in the Maldives was amazing. Wow. And right in peak season of the waves, we had between 4 and 8 foot nearly every day for 3 months. It was just crazy. Just that place is just a machine.
Yes. So the film industry. What was your role within the film industry?
I worked as what they call a grip.
I've always wondered what a key grip is. Now I
Everyone says the same thing to me, Mike. Everyone's like, "Yes, I've seen it on the credits, but what the hell is a grip?" um, so a grip, we grip things, man. We grab things. So if you see the camera guy, the operator, the DOP, which is the director of photography, if he's sitting on one of those little chairs and it's on that steel kind of car thing on rails,
Hmm.
and you see the guy pushing the guy with, and he's holding the camera, they're moving across. That's called a dolly. And
Hmm.
so a grip is in charge of laying those tracks, making sure they're level, making sure they're safe for that dolly to go on. The weight is distributed correctly. So when he sits and he oversets off the side, we counteract on this side. We set up cranes. They operate those big giraffe cranes that you see those people doing those big aerial shots with that long black thing with the guy sitting at the end of it. That's all grip. When we build stages, we build crossings for river, or the shot has to be in the river. They do all the physical kind of rigging and building of platforms or making safe for the DOP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that would have taught
So
you.
physical, lot of physical work, nonstop. It's building, taking down, rebuilding, taking down, rebuilding, taking down, rebuilding. Every
There's
time the
a
camera changes location.
there's a lot of forward thinking involved in that job as well.
You have to think three sets ahead. Yeah,
Hmm. And how's that helped you on your surf journey? Those lessons.
definitely preparing for surf trips, thinking about what I'm going to go through, what season it is, what the waves are going to be like, what my energy levels are like, what my diet's been like. So I start thinking about that like 2-3 months before the trip. Start training. So definitely, yeah. I mean, I would have to say that kind of, because that was 13 years of film industry. So that's like set in stone, right? And that's part of your DNA after so long.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I think that's definitely contributed in that way.
Yeah, because you're running surf trips now.
Yeah, so we have 3 or 4 trips a year, and I've got to be in tip top shape when I'm out there. Um, we get people from total beginners to intermediates, not really super advanced, but we've had a couple of pretty good surfers on our trips. Um, I mean, I can't leave him out. We have been lucky enough to have Grant Twiggy Baker, the 3-time world champion big wave surfer. He's joined us in the Maldives. He actually joined us in October. That was pretty cool.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so I mean, he's an advanced surfer, but he's an extraordinary human being.
Was he there just
Um,
was he there to help
no, he
inspire
was just
others
there to
or
hang out.
oh cool.
He brought his wife and his 7-year-old daughter, and they were surfing, and
Oh wow.
they had my learner surfboard that I bring for some people just to help out, and he would stand her up, and then he would stand up, and like the two of them would surf the waves. Ah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh very cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Do you,
yeah, so we run a few trips. We're off to Costa Rica next month
yep.
for a week. We just came back from Spain 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago.
Hmm.
Um, so we keep ourselves busy with a few trips a year.
Yeah. Do you help people that have booked on these trips? Do you help them a lot with the planning towards
Yes,
arriving to the trip with all the things that they
yeah.
need
We
and
help
their
them with as much logistics as they want.
yeah, because that's a key part of surfing. Because
Yeah, yeah. Because a
so
lot of people, I mean, we have people coming from Oregon in the States, and they're flying to Maldives, and they have no idea. They've only heard fantasy stories about this place called the Maldives. They have no idea.
mm,
You know, one of the key things is don't arrive on a Friday. If you're going to go and stay at a local island and you're going there, do not arrive on a Friday because it's the holy day and there's hardly any taxis or ferries or anything to go. So knowing little things like that help out, and also us obviously planning, what dates we have our trips. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's important. We help
Okay.
out as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. So the Maldives, I haven't actually been to the Maldives yet.
Oh my,
The stories I hear is that it's just overcrowded.
no.
No?
If you so if you it's like any major city. If you go to the CBD, it's going to be the most densely populated, and as you spread out, it's going to get less and less. And so if you go to the congregated areas around Male, which is the main airport, sure, most of those famous break like Sultans, Sultans is one of the most famous. That's where they have the championship trophy with all their ex-champions. Um, and so if you're in that very close proximity of Mile, then yes, those and yes, some of the best breaks are there. But the further south or the further north you go, there are some incredible slabs and some beautiful long 150-meter long point breaks, just dreamy conditions, and hardly anyone out. I mean, we
Hmm.
were there in October, which is just kind of off the end of season. We had places to ourselves for 2-3 days,
Wow. Are you on a
you
boat?
know, and we were on a boat, yeah. So we just stayed in that one spot because there was no one else there.
You stay on the boat?
Oh yeah.
How do you deal with seasickness?
I'm fortunate enough that I somehow outgrew it. I used to terribly get it really badly as a kid,
Yeah.
and as an adult, and then for some weird reason, I just don't get it anymore. But it's quite stable. It's not a sailboat. It's like a big it's like it's not a super yacht, but it's a big motor yacht. Each like 11 cabins, double rooms, ensuite bathrooms, aircon, like chef, and that whole story. It's not like a small boat, so you don't really feel
Mm,
the rock. It's so wide that you don't really feel it.
mm.
Yes, if there's a bit of swell or if there's a bit of wind or something like that, yes, you might feel a little bit, but generally, no, it's all good. It's a pretty solid boat we
Yeah.
use.
What about clients? Have you ever had a client show up to a boat trip and just be seasick the whole time? Has that ever happened?
For the first 3 days, yeah, she was. We had a lady from Australia.
Yeah.
Shame she did so well, man. She kept such a positive attitude. Take my hat off. But she was, and then I think she got like the flu on the fourth day, and so she was sniffles and vomiting and stuff all together, man. But she just kept she came out as much as she possibly could, and did her best. But yeah, she was lady down
Yeah. Oh, and
for
so
the
she
first
just sort
three
of
days.
acclimatized to the
Yeah,
seasickness?
we got some pills from her from the pharmacy. She thought she was going to be okay,
Hmm.
and she wasn't. So before we left, we were like, right, how's everyone doing? And we're like, who didn't bring pills that thinks they might or not? And we're like, cool, put shoot to the pharmacy before we left, and yeah, we just gave her those, and she was all
Okay.
right.
Yeah. I used to get seasick. I used to get seasick in a bath almost so bad.
Yeah, I was terrible as well.
Yeah. But then I did a lot of training with my vestibular system and my ocular system. So training your
Okay,
balance in your eyes.
nice.
And that just changed the game for me. I've now been, on boat trips out to Cloudbreak and stuff, and didn't get seasick. And it also actually helped. So I remember when I was living in New York, and I went through Ripley's Believe It or Not. I don't know if you ever went there when you were there. And
For
as you
sure.
cut, as you come out of there, you have to cross this bridge, and there's a big cylinder that you walk through like a pipe, and on the pipe there's a bunch of LED lights, and it's spinning. So you actually have to walk through across a bridge around this spinning tube with lights on it. And
Yeah.
I couldn't walk across it. Like I got halfway across and thought
Oh no
I
way!
thought I
So
was
it threw you off.
I had to, and then I was seasick for 3 days after being in that tube for about, I don't know, 10 seconds.
Wow.
And that highlighted something to me. I was like, because I could never get barreled. Every time I'd get into a barrel, I'd always fall.
Ah,
And
okay.
and so when you're in a barrel, you've got that
You've got that
glitch.
cylindrical.
moving over
Yeah,
you,
yeah, 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 yeah.
which disorientates your ocular and
Wow, that's
vestibular
actually
system.
that's fascinating.
So then I did a lot of that was my background, personal training, and then that sort of led me into studying neurology, and I started working on my
Okay.
vision and my balance, and I managed to get those two systems in alignment. And then my seasickness is gone. I don't get
Wow,
that anymore, and
that's incredible.
and I can get barreled. That was so all of this, all these,
That's the best prize.
yeah. So those listening out there, if you get seasick or you struggle with barrels, even though you've been surfing a long time, that could be something to look at is vision and vestibular training. Uh,
Absolutely. I'm going to look into that.
yes, if you go, you can. There's a lot of free information through Z Health, Z,
Z Health.
yeah, Z dash Health. They teach basic neurology principles to personal trainers, and they put a lot of
Okay.
there's a lot of free information out there. But that's also what I do as well. So if there's anyone listening that wants to dive a little bit deeper, you can
Wow.
jump online and do it and do a session with me. But yeah, Z Health would be the free resource where you can go and start to learn a little bit.
Oh yeah, I want to definitely look at that. That sounds very interesting. Where's the best place you've been barreled?
I used to live in a place, I won't name it, and the northern beaches of Australia, in Sydney.
Okay.
There's a little slab right hand barrel that I fell in love with and surfed it every day for about a year and a half, and that was,
Oh,
yeah, that was
love.
that taught me how to tube ride, riding that slab.
Nice.
Yeah, and then,
Nice.
but the cool thing is that the better your balance becomes, and the better your vision gets, the better everything gets.
Sure.
Like you can train someone in their vision and their balance, and don't do any sprinting,
Yeah.
and then measure them before and after doing 6 weeks of vision and balance training, and they sprint faster. Like
Sure.
it's pretty powerful stuff.
And
Um,
and and also if you get the balance to be a subconscious focus and whatever else you're doing as the conscious, like for instance, we did a post a couple of weeks ago. Well, my time frame, it might have even been a couple of months ago, um, on on throwing a tennis ball against the wall while you're standing on your balance board, right?
mhm.
And then I was like, okay, so I started juggling against the wall with three tennis balls. And I was saying, and we said, when you can get to the point of when balance is not your focus point, but your hand-eye coordination is where your focus point is, and the balance is just a secondary automatic action that your body's doing. That's when you can start focusing on down the line vision when you're not thinking about your pop up, where your feet land. Have I paddled enough to get up on the board at the right time? And you don't have to think about that. You can more focus about what the wave is doing, reading the wave, and surfing the wave the best you can possibly do it at what the waves gives you. So absolutely, man, working on balance, you hit the nail on the head there. And then obviously, if you can get your vision balance, man, you're taking things to the next level.
Yeah, balance is something that's it's drastically overlooked. Athletes are doing a lot of vision and balance training. The reason that we don't see it on Instagram and stuff is because it's not sexy. No one wants to.
You took the words out of my mouth. It's
Yeah.
exactly what I said because this stuff is just not sexy. It doesn't sell.
So we see the deadlifts and the agility training, but you don't see the hours of vision and vestibular training that go in
Yeah,
and behind that. And something that's another thing for surfers is it's one thing most training vestibular and balance training programs will take you through, and it's all about having a flat foot. But in
yeah,
surf, and which is a lot of the time in surfing you are quite centered on your foot, but also a lot of the time in surfing you're on the ball of your foot or
you're changing a lot.
on your heels. So those that
Yeah,
want to integrate some balance training in, this is one of the hardest things to do. If you just try and stand on your heels
on the heels of your feet.
and just
It's
balance,
not easy
not
at
easy.
all.
But if you
No,
once you switch that sort of mechanism on, then your backhand bottom turn is going to become so much easier.
huge improvement. I'm stealing that from you. Just disclaimer right now. I'm stealing that you from for my personal use and what I'm going to suggest to one or two of my clients.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, I do a lot of balance board. I do balance board multiple times a week,
yeah.
um, just to keep just to because I don't surf as much as obviously I'd like to surf every day if I had a sweet little point break in front of my house that no one knew of. Sure, love that. But that's not the reality. And so, yeah, I do want to keep myself fresh. And then obviously when, training starts before a trip, then the balance board comes out on a daily basis for a few hours,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that's a big part of my training.
Yeah. And balance is, a lot of people think that, so when you start getting into balance, you find your foot twitches a lot. And that's normal. Like even people that are really good at balance, their foot will move around and twitch a lot. And that's normal. The goal when you're training your balance is to keep your head and shoulders still, not your
Yeah.
feet. Because
And
then you
not to look
watch,
at the feet.
yeah, and exactly. And when you watch a good surfer surf, their heads stay quite level and balanced,
Like
and
a
they don't
hummingbird, like
don't
a
move
hummingbird
much.
with its wings and just their heads like,
Yep. Especially someone like Kelly Slater, his legs and arms are all over the place, but his head's just kind of
it
cruising
doesn't
along.
move. Even when he paddles, even if you watch him compared to other surfers, his head does not move when he paddles,
Yep.
like at all. It's just arms and shoulders.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
balance is a key aspect and an underutilized aspect of surfing.
underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
under
okay.
focused. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Maldives trips. Where else are some destinations that you take people? You mentioned Costa Rica and
Yeah, we
Spain.
leave next week to Costa Rica. We stay in Tamarindo. And in Spain, we've been going 2 years now in a row to Cadiz, which is like really south Spain, pretty close to Morocco. Just up a little bit, but pretty south. And great location, perfect little waves for beginners, and beautiful hotel there, great facilities, ice bath that I take advantage of every day,
Mm-hmm.
um, sauna. In like, yeah, just great. Got an indoor pool. Sometimes I take the guests and the surfboard, and especially beginners, because that's a beginner retreat for us, the Spain one. Take them into the pool and let them do some standing up drills, practicing in the water so the board moves. Yeah, so Spain's quite a cool retreat to do. And we've done Portugal a few times as well in Peniche.
Yep.
Always a great spot. You can guarantee surf there.
Yeah.
That's just a swell magnet of.
Yeah. It's a cool part of the world. I've been there a few times.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
And
I think we want to try and look at a different part of Portugal now to do another retreat there. We've done Peniche twice. We want to go and find some other place, because we also enjoy traveling, right? We don't want to go to the same place. We want to keep it interesting for ourselves as well. And so we don't want our guests to arrive and they can see that we've been here. We're just in the routine, I want them to see us excited to be where we are as well.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So yeah, so we're looking for a new spot.
Yeah.
For the beginner retreat, yeah.
Yeah. What's some of the biggest mistakes that you see with beginners?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question. Transitioning from a bigger board to a smaller board too soon. Hands down, number one mistake people make, because they think that's sexy. To use your phrase. And that's it. They think the short board. They think that's what they need to do. And unfortunately, they don't. If you haven't figured out the technique and trained the muscle memory on a big board, going to a short board too quickly, your progression is just going to take a serious dive. You really need to be able to control a bigger board and understand how to trim, where to find speed on a wave, how to maintain speed before you transition to a small board. And if you do take that extra time to do that, your progression then, once you do start progressing to smaller boards or the kind of surfing you want to do, it flies up. But hands down, that's probably for me the biggest thing I see. One of the biggest mistakes learner surfers make.
Mm. Yeah, you end up coming full circle. Like I got a lot of, throughout the show, you get a lot of tips from really good surfers just saying, get back in touch with bigger boards.
Yeah,
it'll help.
It's a common thing.
Yeah, so it comes
helps
full
you
circle.
So much.
Yeah, when you get a bit older, you're like, oh, I want to try longboarding now. The waves are small, and wow, longboarding helps me surf my shortboard when the waves are good. Oh, I'm going to do more longboarding.
because you have to draw your turn so much more. You have to generate so much more power and distribute it from, as you turn. You have to shift that energy down through your body into your legs, into your feet, into the board. When you've got a bigger board, you need to really create that momentum. So when you take that movement into a short board, all of a sudden you're throwing freaking 12 o'clock turns. You're like, whoa, where did that come from? You
Yeah.
know. And so absolutely it benefits your shortboarding when you've done it for a little bit. It
Yeah. So,
kills your paddling. That's the only bad thing about it, because you're used to just one paddle in like 5 meters.
yeah.
One paddle, 5 meters. You get back into a shortboard and you just sink.
Yeah. That's half the reason I end up taking big boards out all the time, is because it's just, you can just paddle around and
Getting lazy, Mike.
yeah, I know. Oh, especially
Yeah,
in crowded lineups, it's so easy to paddle around.
exactly. Well, I have to admit, I do the same thing. I'll take my 8 foot mini mile. If there's a lot of people, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what are some common mistakes you see with the intermediates?
They think that they need to increase their strength and fitness more. Because yes, you do. If you want to become an advanced surfer from intermediate, of course you have to change your training 100%. But they think that's more of the focus than understanding the wave. So you can try and do a fast, snappy turn on a very kind of flat part of the wave, and you're just going to lose all your speed and fall backwards, right? Or fall, whether it's backhand, forehand. If you try and do a long, drawn out, freaking Connor Coffin style turn, Geordie Smith, that long, drawn out turn on a very fast, steep, about to break part of the wave, you're going to get a slap in your face from the lip, right? So if you keep practicing the wrong turns at the wrong part of the wave, you're never going to get it right. So understanding what the wave is doing to know what you need to do at that point. That's why the pros make it look so good. That's why they transition through turns so well, because they're doing the right turn at what that wave is offering them at that moment. And so intermediates are not getting that. They're trying to just rip the crap out of the wave without thinking about where they're doing what.
Mm.
And when I explain that to people, they go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And so it's not just about throwing caution to the wind and just trying to rip the hell out of it. It's think about what that wave is doing and the shape of it, and what turn would you be able to generate speed out of if you did the right turn at that point. So that's another big mistake that I would say the intermediates they come into contact with that kind of challenge, and not understanding where the focus they think the focus needs to be on strength and exercise, strength and fitness,
Yeah.
which again, yes, absolutely. If you want to progress, you have to get fitter. And we just had a question now. Hey, what do I need to do if I want to transition from regular surfing to big wave surfing? I just put, yep, you're going to need to do training, and then training, training, and then in brackets, a lot more training. Um, and of course it needs to, but you need to also, just regular surfing from intermediate to advanced, you need to read the wave. You need to know what it's doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the fundamental thing. I mean, I think that stems from people thinking that surfing is a sport and a sport only.
Yeah.
And if, for example, if you were to take that sort of attitude into dancing, yes, to be an amazing dancer, you need to be well trained and be athletic and physically fit. But
Sure.
if you're not tuning into the rhythm of the music, no one's going to want to watch you dance, no matter how athletic you are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. You can have a Cristiano Ronaldo body, but with no rhythm, your hips are going opposite to the beat. Doesn't matter, man.
exactly. So the fundamental
Yeah,
skill in dancing is listening to the music, and
yeah.
same with
Following the
surfing,
rhythm.
reading the wave, listening to the rhythm of the ocean, and
Yeah.
yep, that is a
Yeah,
definite.
that's the thing. You get this touches back to or we touched on it. We said we'll touch on it later, but it come very much in line with when people have aggression in the water. They're not pro surfers. Their sponsors aren't taking pictures of them on the beach. Um, they're in a local place with 30 other people in the water. So why do you have to act like that? Sorry, where the cameras? Where your sponsors? Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're just like me and you, right? We're just the same. Oh, okay. Just checking.
Touche. Touche. There's the surf culture is strange in that way.
Very diplomatic. Yes, it is strange.
It is, yeah. Is that one of the frustrations that clients will verbalize to you on trips and on sessions?
I think everyone, yeah, I mean, I hear it from all the clients. I think it's everyone, though. I think anyone that's learning or that's been surfing for a little bit has experienced it once or twice in their surfing career, right? Someone yelling or being locally aggressive or locally protective of the wave or whatever it may be. I think anyone that's been surfing for a little bit is going to experience it. And yes, our clients have expressed their concerns. And that's why we focus on, it's not just about putting new surfers in the water because the sport is great. The activity, the love of the ocean. It's not just that. We also want to put people in the water that is educated on how to behave, how to look after themselves, keep themselves safe, and not endanger other people as well. It's not just, oh, cool, we just taught another 150 people last year and oh, wonderful. No, we're putting 150 people and it's nowhere near 150, take a surf school, for instance, that does eight lessons, 8 people per lesson and 4 or 5 lessons in a day. They pump out, a few thousand in a season. But what we try and do, whoever comes through our doors, we try to make sure that they have a much better understanding of surf behavior, surf etiquette, whatever you want to call it, than before they walked in. And so we can rest easy knowing that people are going out there understanding what their responsibility is to keep the environment friendly. And hopefully be able to deal with someone that's in the water that's a little bit unfriendly.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's important because it is a limited resource in a lot of places, and you got to.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also, in defense of surf schools, I made my career at different surf schools, and a lot of my experience comes from spending years at different surf schools. Unfortunately, you don't necessarily have the time to dive too deep into the surf etiquette part because your job is to get them standing on a surfboard.
Yeah.
And you can't really teach them about ocean knowledge and surf etiquette and all these things because it's like I've got 8 people in my lesson and I need to get all of them to stand because that's what they come here for. And so you don't. It's a tough one because surf schools are great, and I think anyone that wants to learn should do it with a coach. Whether it's private, whether it's in a school, but unfortunately that's the negative. They don't have the time to go into that.
Yeah, they usually give a tourist experience, not a lesson.
Yeah.
Like on that surfing journey, especially I think between the beginner and the intermediate, what are people's biggest pain points and frustrations?
Oh, definitely from beginner to intermediate, I would say struggling to read the wave on where to position themselves to catch it. I think that's probably the question since day one of me being a surf coach till to yesterday is how do I know which is the right wave to catch? How do I know where to position myself for the peak? How do I know how fast I need to paddle? How do I know how far I should be away from the wave when I start paddling? How do I know when I'm supposed to get up? Just how do I catch a damn unbroken wave? I think is the biggest struggle from that transitioning from catching whitewater to kind of slowly becoming intermediate. I don't really use the word intermediate. I like to use independent because once you're independent, that would be classified as intermediate. You're independent, so you can go out, you can keep yourself safe, you don't endanger others, you can catch the waves you want, and you can get up and you can ride and enjoy. You're an independent surfer as an intermediate. So for me, that's kind of one and the same.
Yeah.
And so that's one challenge. The other one is understanding the lineup, who's to go first, understanding the rule because the rules are never followed to the T. So there's so much gray area. So they are so confused because they're like, well, but I waited, but then everyone just kept on paddling past me. I'm like, yeah, you should do the same thing, but don't do the same thing. So that's a tough one. Understanding the lineup and understanding where their position is as the beginner, transitioning, catching the waves. Now we have to position ourselves amongst all these people that have been surfing here and da 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 da. They
Yeah,
struggle. That's a big one
yeah,
for them.
yeah, yeah. That is, it's that's a never-ending learning curve,
It's
I
a
think.
it will yeah. It's always going to be a
Especially when you
tough one for
travel.
them.
When you travel, there's
Yeah,
you drop in on the wrong person, and you're surfing
yeah,
days at that spot are ruined.
yeah.
So there's a lot of
Finished.
politics
Yeah,
and etiquette, and it's. But I think that a lot of people get frustrated. I think the best way to look at it is it's not a power dominance hierarchy. It's usually a competence hierarchy.
yeah, and I think that's if it should start anywhere, it should be starting there. It's got nothing to do with how fit you are or how long you've been surfing a location or if you've got the best board or whatever it is, it should definitely be on competence.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
yeah. Because you take that wave, for example. You asked me where I did a lot of my barrel riding. That wave I
Yeah,
surfed every day for a year and a half. It took me months of just
yeah,
sitting there and waiting and taking the smaller waves and getting smashed on the inside and just
yeah.
being nice to the locals. It took me months before I even paddled for a set wave.
Yeah.
And if I
And
fell
people
off
don't
on if I
understand it.
fell off on that set wave, I'm not getting another one. That's that's a waste of a wave. Why should I be allowed? No, go back on the inside and practice.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
new surfers, you have to understand that that's just the way it is, and you're not going to get away
Yeah.
from that.
That is the sport.
Yep.
That is it because it's it is a patience game. You do sit out there and it's not about it's not necessarily there doesn't necessarily need to be the need for aggression from the surfer that sees you wasting a wave because and people say, oh, what do you mean I wasted a wave? It was my wave. I can do what I want in it. No, because it's about positioning. It's about understanding, watching, feeling the ocean, seeing where that wave is coming to, positioning yourself, timing. It's a game. It's a very fine game that we play with the ocean to really position ourselves for that perfect spot, for that perfect wave. And so if you do take it and you weren't ready for it, we could have had that. We've been waiting for that wave. So yeah, I agree that make sure you've got that competence. Make sure you're gonna get. And yes, if you do it once, cool, okay, it's not going to be the end of the world. But if you go out there and that's your constant, that's your thing, then you're definitely not ready for sure. So it's an
Yep.
understanding that it's an acceptance they have to face.
It sure is. It's a funny
Tough
world
one.
surfing.
It is. It's supposed to be this beautiful, spiritual thing, but there's definitely some gray area out there.
Yeah,
Um,
it is, but you have to conform to the politics and the etiquette of that culture. Otherwise,
Absolutely,
or
you can't fight it.
yeah, or just travel and find waves to yourself. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
only
exactly.
two
Or just build a
options.
pool.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
build a pool.
Have you
Then you
surfed
just
any
have to
pools?
worry. I have. I've surfed the one in England, the Wave in
Hmm.
Bristol, twice, three times. Yeah, it's the only one I've done, but super fun. I actually surfed it with Twiggy. We went. So we first met him for a retreat. He came and he helped us help people understand about fear and all that. And then we on the way there, we picked him up from the airport and straight there, we had a day before. So we're like, hey, let's stop off and have a quick surf. So we surfed it. And then after the retreat, we went back and surfed it again. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's a very, very different thing because you've got a cement wall right next to you. And then there's this kind of swell that builds up and then sucks all the way down. And you kind of get pulled right next to the wall, and then the swell comes up behind you and puts you. You've got to paddle, and you've got about a 2 meter space to get it right or not. And then yeah, but once you're up and riding, it's fun, man.
There's so many wave pools being built at the moment.
Oof, a lot, a
It's
lot.
it's going to be so much fun soon when it's all accessible and
Oh
yeah,
yeah, a little bit more financially viable.
yes, that too.
So
Yeah,
expensive, man. Wow.
some of them are. Yeah,
Each wave is you start counting the dollars of what each wave costs you if you fall or if you cut it short or whatever it is. It
yeah.
starts adding up.
I guess in that situation, it truly is your wave because you literally paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you're super fit, you can catch two waves in a set, depending on how many people are in your group. So I surfed there in January at some stage, and it was 5 degrees or something in the water. So I only had two people in my group, so we were able to paddle around twice. And because I think there's 15 waves in a set, so if you catch the first one of the first 5 or 6 waves, you might be able to get round and catch another one. But I didn't get all of them. I wasn't as fit as I would have liked to have been. I think I was catching every second one that I should have, I was doing, which was okay. It wasn't too bad.
Oh, cool. So you're off to Costa Rica soon. That'll be fun. What size group are you taking?
We got 11 people. It's a group that we met them in June 2021. A bunch of strangers ranging from 26 years old to 55. And there were 9 of them, 9 or 10 of them. And they all got along so well that they asked us if we could keep that group private. And then they would just, each year, they would just book all 9 of them and keep it if we were okay with that. I said, how can we say no? I mean, the dynamic was so amazing. And so this is their third time with us. And so, but 2 of them have bought their partners. That's why we've got 11 now. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
very
super cool. Yeah, amazing.
Oh, cool. And how do people find out more about these trips?
We're on Instagram, and Leo, Andleo. It's a combination of my name and Eleonora, Andrew and Eleonora. And I think it's __ Andleo __. And that's our Instagram. And we do all our information. We've got a link tree on our bio, and gives you access to the website. We're on Facebook. We've got a platform called Learn to Surf on Facebook.
Awesome. All right. And what's the website for those who aren't on Facebook or Instagram?
The website is andrewgoodmansurfcoaching.com.
All right. I will put links to all of that stuff in the show notes to this episode anyway, for those that are listening. And your Instagram is great. There's so many like short little videos of just tidbits and like so well done.
Thank you.
Great, congratulations. It's a great Instagram page. I urge listeners to give that a follow regardless.
Wow, thank you so much. It's very kind of you.
Yep. And thank you so much for doing the show, man. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Awesome.